Hi viewers and welcome to the channel and welcome to a retrospective of lesson 3 part 1. Now I've been asked on the channel why I use datum planes in the construction of this piston head and also why I used a clone rather than a shape binder for cloning the master sketch. In this lesson I will be revealing the reasons why I did that and also reviewing the model to make some improvements in there. If you like what you're seeing, please subscribe to the site. I also have a Ko-Fi or a coffee site that you can donate to if you so desire, and that's at ko-fi.com/MANG0. I also run a Patreon where you can subscribe and get extra content, and that's at www.patreon.com/MangoJellySolutions. Any money that's kindly donated will be used to expand the channel. So to understand what a datum plane is and how to use it, we're going to first have a bit of an experiment in there to show you where you would use that datum plane. Datum planes always need a new body, so they have to be in a part design body. There is requests for a datum plane to be outside. In the curves workbench there is a datum plane that can actually be outside of the part design body, but that's not the subject of this tutorial. I'm going to create a sketch in here and we're going to go along the XY plane for starts. And the idea is I'm going to create a sketch of a simple B-spline. And I'm going to make some vertical spacing between these. So we'll close that. So we're going to have two B-splines. I'm going to have the other B-spline along the front, along this axis here. So somewhere down here. So we're looking along the ZX axis, or XZ axis, okay. So we've got that there. And we'll create another B-spline. So we'll come in and we'll create this one down here and hit escape. Now those are attached to an axis. So we can come into our attachment. It won't be placement because we've attached to the axis and the attachment appears first. And we're going to separate this by placing a little bit further down, and we'll go along, just move it into a bit of a position where we're going to place a datum plane. I want to connect up these 2 points with another B-spline sketch. So I'm going to make this obvious that it's quite far away from these. Something like that. So when we look at it from the top, you can see that there's this separation between those. And obviously, these aren't going to be on a plane that I can easily get to. We could come in, if I wanted to join up these with another B-spline sketches, come in and create a sketch and put it on the plane that I prefer. So something like that. This plane here, hit OK, and that's not intersecting those points at all, so I'm going to have to do some transformation on that plane for that sketch. So look at an attachment and try to position that in the right place and along the X, and have a look at that. I'm going to need some rotation along there, so let's go along the Z, and you can see that trying to get this angle and everything, trying to figure out which way round this has got to go. It's going to take a while. I mean, I'm over exaggerating here. It's going to take a while to actually get this correct, etc. Once you figure out where your angles are, etc., and get that positioned, then it's going to take a little while to figure out. Even then, that's not intersecting. We can't see if that's intersecting correctly. And this is where the datum plane comes in handy, because we don't have to go through that problems of trying to get ourselves positioned across there. So I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to add a datum plane to this body. So we're going to come in, so we can click one vertex, control click the other, click on the datum plane. That datum plane has been placed in the middle of there, and we can change where this will be laid. So for instance, we've laid it across those two like so, and you can see those points are intersecting. So from here we can alter the way this lays on there, and then have further adjustments down the bottom. So I'm going to rotate this around the x-axis, like so, and you can see I've got a datum plane that's sitting across there. So from there I can OK that, and I can start sketching upon this datum plane. And you can see I've got those two there. If I wanted to swap the sides, I can by changing the attachment. We're going to go for that, and we're going to go for a B-spline and auto constrain against there. And you can see I can attach up by pulling in geometry like so, and using that point and that point, and making a constraint against them. So that makes it an easy way of attaching between two vertices like so. Obviously there's many ways you can actually attach datum planes, but that's one reason to use a datum plane, is if you've got geometry that's hard to get to and you can get to those actual vertices. So why did I use them for my sketch for the piston? So let's go back to the piston. We're going to have a look at these datum planes that are in position here, that hold in the sketches. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to set the origin, so this one here, origin of the body, set that to visible. So now we get this box. So we can see the planes that these are placed upon. And this is good reference when we're actually placing geometry to have this available, so we can see where we're placing them and see if we can optimize our model. So the planes are available. Let's have a look at the datum planes. So we're going to go from the very last datum plane. So this is for this pocket which holds the sketch, this sketch here. We can come into the master sketch and just hide that. And we can see that sketch is sitting there, like so. We'll look at the sketch and look at the planes. Well, that sits along this plane here, so this one here. Now if we zoom out, we can actually see what plane that is. So if we look up, well, we can see from here that it's the XZ plane, which is there. Though we're on the other side of it, so that's sitting on there. So there is no need for that datum planes because it's sitting on that plane there. To get rid of that datum plane, because let's just add in more to the model, we can come into the datum plane and disassociate it with the support, and then we'll be disassociating the sketch with the datum plane. So at the moment the sketch is the datum plane there. Best idea is to work from bottom up. You can work from top down if you so desire, but I find the best idea is to work from bottom up, so you're going from the last action and working your way upwards. So we'll start with the sketch. The support is a datum plane, so come into the 3 points here. So the support is on the data tab. Come into the 3 points here, and this comes up. You need to hit clear first because you can have multiple supports. And we're going to place this along. If I zoom out, we can actually select this plane. It's this one here. And that's selected it here. Hit OK. That sketch is now sitting on that plane in that same position. Come up to the datum plane. We can hit delete on that, and that gets rid of that datum plane. So we're looking up here, we can see there's no blue ticks that require a refresh on here, and that's taken effect. So we're good to go on that one. So that gets rid of one item. So the less items you have in here, obviously the better. Let's have a look at this other datum plane. So we've got this pocket. I'm just going to hide this pocket. And inside that pocket, we've got the sketch still available. So let's hide that. My origin is still available. And let's have a look at the other pocket. Inside that, we have sketch 003, which is this here. So we're going to remove that now, because as we can see, that's laying along that same plane as well. So there was no need to add a datum plane from there. So this is something that's called doing a retrospective. So a retrospective is that you end up with your model, you review your model with other people. So if you've got people in your same industry as what you're in, or same knowledge area or subject area that you're in, you can actually sit with them and say, right, I've created this model, let's have a look over the model and see where I can improve the model, or if there's any reasons why I've added certain things. So I've had comments on the channel regarding why if you had datum planes. Looking back over the model, there was no need to add datum planes. There's a plane here that I can add this to. Sits directly inside this piston head. So it's in a perfect position. Even if it was outside this piston head, it would still be fine. It's running along the same plane. So remembering back to the sketch, I created a plane across those two because it's easier to create a plane to connect up two vertices that are in different positions in 3D space. So looking at this, well, I don't even need this in here. We can do this differently. So I'm going to come into this sketch, and the first thing is I'm going to get rid of the datum plane that's on because it's not needed, because it's the same plane here. I'll take this sketch, I'm going to disassociate it with the support, that datum plane there, and we're clear and okay that. That's taken fine, but we've got a tick by that sketch. Let's edit, refresh that. That's all fine. So that's good. So now we can get rid of this datum plane. Hit delete on the datum plane. So we've got rid of that datum plane and we've reduced our tree view of the items in there. So now we've simplified the model and got rid of the datum planes. I'm just going to bring back that pocket and hide the origin. We're going to work on this because there's no need to have this in here. We can do this a different way. So this is the sketch here inside this pocket. So I'm just going to hide this pocket and bring back this pocket where there's no holes in there. This is what has been created by this. We're going to change this now. I'm going to go into the master sketch and make that visible. My idea is to take the master sketch, this circle here, increase the diameter of this circle with another one that references it, and use that to take material out of here. So that means if we go into here, there's no need for this sketch. There's no need for all of these constraints in here. To do that, first thing I'm going to do is come into the master sketch, which is this one here, and I'm going to name the constraint around this radius because I'm going to be referencing that in the formula. So I've clicked on this one here. I've got to find its radius, which is this one. So we can double click that radius and give it a name. So I'm just going to call it something like outer circle. You can give it a more descriptive name if you so desire. And hit OK. Well, that's done. If I come down to the left hand side and we look through here, we can see these are the elements. So our element that we change is this one here, this circle edge. And if we come up to the constraints and look down, we can see a number of constraints in here. I'm going to highlight that constraint and we can search through, and there it is there, outer circle 100. We can drop this down and come into named if we so desire to go and find that constraint. What that allows us to do, if we come out of here, hit close and go back to our sketch, I'm just going to press the space bar on that master sketch and come back into the pocket, this one here. We're going to delete this from here by highlighting it and hitting delete. So that's gone now. We've still got the outer edge referenced, and I'm going to come in and create a circle in here and attach it to this point. Just bring it out like so. Hit escape and just position that circle slightly. So that's is the spacing that I want in here, probably a bit less. What I can do is come into this circle now, hit the diameter or the radius, go to radius because I want to reference the same radius. So we come in here, we've got this formula icon here. Now if I type in here master, we get the master sketch. We can go to the 2D master sketch, which is the clone if we so desire, but I'm going to go to the original master sketch. Type in C, get constraints, and then if we put dot in there, we type in outer circle, you can see it's come in here as 100 millimeters. And I'm going to plus 5 millimeters on there. We can see we've got a unit mismatch there. So type in mm and we get our millimeter there, 105 millimeters. Hit OK. Let's put 105 in there. Hit OK again. Let's move that down. So that's in position. I can see we've got a problem with the sketch underneath this circle here. Looks like the constraint has gone. Let's close that. Got our circle there, which I'll use for the pocket, which is already taken. You can see that's already taken in there. Let's just double click this sketch and see what's going on here. Please remove the following redundant constraints. Click to select. And we'll come in and hit delete on that. And that's fixed that. Looks good in there. Hit close. So we've got no errors there. Our pocket has taken through there. And we'll bring back the last action, which is the circle there. And that means we can actually go back into that sketch, this circle here, and change this circle. So we can click on the radius constraint, which is down here. And you can see the little icon by the side of it saying that it's got a formula. Double click that. We can name it if we want and come into that formula and change. And let's give it something like a 2 mil. Hit OK. Come on, close. And that's swept that through, removing that material. Sorry, that's pocketed that through, not swept. Removing that material, and we're good to go. So we've refined this model. We've got rid of the datum constraints that control this edge here. We've got rid of the datum planes, which made the model more complex. And we've learned how to reference constraints inside the master sketch by giving them the name. So one thing to mention is that these amendments you won't see in the other videos, video 2, 3 and 4, because we've completed those videos and this is just a refinement we're going back over. So there's no point in actually going back to those videos and me overwriting those videos and adding those amendments in, because you can use that as reference back to see what I've actually done. There's also another point in one of the videos where I come in and take this edge, place it a datum plane upon it, so I can actually take a little sliver across here to make this whole coplanar or planar, because we have an issue with assembly. If you look at this hole here, you can see it's got curvature to it, so it curves around. Now in assemblies you have to have planar to planar surfaces if you're doing circle to circle constraints, otherwise that constraint won't be available to you. Again, I created a datum plane along here. What I should have done is just come in and let's have a look at the origin. And we're in the piston head and we'll select the origin there. And I'm going to create a sketch upon there. You can see it's around the wrong way at the moment, so we'll close that and click on the sketch. Come down to the data. And we're looking for map mode, flat face, map reverse, set that to true. That will flip it around the other way. Now if I double click that sketch, I'm around the right way. And we can do some adjustments on that now. So I want to take that sketch and I want to move it along the Z plane. So look at the attachment, the position, and look at the Z. I can move this. You can see my sketch is moving. I just move that into position there. And we can start sketching upon that. So takes the need for the data plane, removes the need for that data plane away. Let's just hide that sketch as well. And we want to make this whole coplanar. The other thing that I did was I removed this whole, well, again, there's no need to do that. We can come in and just make a sketch across here using a rectangle. And let's drop it. And we can add some constraints in here. I'm not going to bother adding the constraints. I'm just going to make this like so. And we can come out and close it. I didn't add the constraints just for speed. So that's there, and you can see it's out. We just constrain that up, and we can use the pocket there, create a pocket. And we'll need to add the dimension in there. So something like 50. And that's taken a slice across there. So you can see that if I was more accurate with that pocket, that will now be coplanar. So if you look at this from that way, you can see that's nice and straight. That means we can create a circle and circle constraint on that in the assembly workbenches. Where this side, you can't get a circle and circle constraint because it's not a planar circle. So that's one thing to look out for. So it's up to you when you come to those parts whether you want to follow this video or carry on with the way I've created it in those videos. But this way that I've shown you in here, we've got a much more better structure here. Less parts, no datum planes. Datum planes are quite expensive. And we've learned how to use a sketch and reference that master sketch constraints to actually affect the sketches and actually place sketches upon planes that we don't need data planes upon. So thank you for the comments there. There is one other comment that was asked, reason why I use a clone. And one of the reasons is that this master sketch, we've got a scale on here. Whereas a shape binder, if I come into the piston head, add a shape binder in here, come down this binder in here, we've got no scaling in here. So if I wanted to create this master sketch, say 2 times bigger or half the size, then we can't do that with the binder. We can't do that with the normal shape binder as well. Let's just give that an object and geometry, that one there. Okay, shape binder, as you can see, there is very limited capabilities of that shape binder for actual movement, let alone being able to change the scale of it. So this is the reason why I prefer clones over shape binders, in that you have the scale in there. It's up to personal preference if you want to use a shape binder, but it gives you that extra level of configuration, of customability in there to change that. But the whole thing with the actual datum planes, yes, I was wrong. I shouldn't have added the datum planes in there. I was looking at a way of adding the datum planes to make the lesson more interesting, but I should really get into datum planes in a future lesson. So thank you for that. Constructive criticism is always a welcome on my channel, because I will use that in future videos and also show you the reasons why I used it, if I used it on purpose, or admit that I did use it in mistake. Here we go. This is the more condensed version of that, and going back for a retrospective. So with a retrospective, you actually go back, talk over the model, look how we can actually make improvements with that. It's a learning process, and it's quite vital for the engineering industry to actually do the whole review, evaluate, modify and continue. It's that continuous loop. You see it in lean principles, in engineering, in the whole design and planning process. I do work as an engineer, but not in that industry, not in the CAD industry. It's an important thing to have. So if you have that support through your channel or support for a forum, throwing up something for constructive criticism is a plus. So thank you for that, for the people that have commented on there, the reasons why I didn't use the plane, instead I used the datum plane. I was trying to be clever and actually enrich the lesson more, and I shouldn't have done that. I should have left it further on. So I'd like to thank everybody for comments, and hope you're enjoying the series, and I'll see you again in the next video. If you like what you're seeing, please subscribe to the site. I also have a Ko-Fi or a Ko-Fi site that you can donate to if you so desire, and that's at ko-fi.com/MANG0. I also run a Patreon where you can subscribe and get extra content, and that's at www.patreon.com/MangoJellySolutions. Any money that's kindly donated will be used to expand the channel. Thanks a lot for watching and subscribing, and I'll see you again soon.